and gentlemen, welcome to the Lion's Den Show. And here's your host, Cody Robert Judy.
Hello and welcome to the Lion's Den Show. I'm your host and your toast, Cody Robert Judy. Today is December 16th, 2010. Many of us are mourning our brother, Lieutenant Colonel Terry Lakin, who pled guilty in his court-martial military trial, ruining an otherwise spotless record. Many of you are wondering why he would do that, and many more have just laughed at seeing the nails pounded in this brave man's coffin, not understanding that they're actually laughing about the nails being put into their own coffin in similitude of their own constitutional rights passing away and being buried. Today I want to try to help everyone understand what happened in that guilty plea. Understand why, after taking a stand about Obama's eligibility and standing so firm on the facts that Obama was not a natural-born citizen, that Obama could not issue a single military order that was legal, and our military was in fact constitutionally right now a headless horseman, as far as having a certifiable, constitutionally qualified president and commander-in-chief. First, we must start with the basic question of why Lieutenant Colonel Terry Lakin would plead guilty. As I discuss this with you, I want you to try to understand this and put yourself in his position, just for a minute. You've been incarcerated for near a year now, waiting, being told by everyone, I want you to forget this foolishness. Everyone that brings him his meals, you're just a fool. His own lawyers also telling him and carefully explaining to him he ran a red light and did in fact disobey direct orders. Telling him the judge has just wiped out his only hope to call witnesses on his behalf. And there's no one to appeal to in order to change that. I want you to consider for just a moment that you having no experience with the legal field as a lawyer would have, you have no record of trouble or blemish your whole life. And all of a sudden, you're exposed in choosing the right, all that is dear to you being lost, all that you have fought for being put into a sack and dipped in gasoline, and a professional lawyer with the lighter standing in front of you, saying there is no hope for you to go right or left. The only door that you can go through is the door the lawyer has carefully crafted for you, is familiar with, many others using, and is guaranteeing you sincerely that any other course will not profit you one iota in the cause or statement you're making and the punishment that is going to be dealt out. The biggest tool used against you in these circumstances is you haven't done anything remotely wrong before. Your record as a juvenile is clean. Your record as an adult is squeaky clean. You have no experience at being bad. That's what those lawyers will tell you is your greatest asset that's still worth something, and then to tell you in choosing the course you have that you have embarrassed your family and made them victims. How do you feel about that? Many may think I have just described Lieutenant Colonel Terry Lakin, and I have. However, I've also just described to you exactly my own circumstances in 1993. That was before they slammed the door on me for just about 8 years. Yeah, I didn't think it could happen to me. I thought for some reason that these men in high places in courts of law actually respected by the traditions of our Constitution, I thought they were valiant men and women. I trusted them with my life. Lieutenant Colonel Terry Lakin just gave his last remaining 2 ounces of trust to the law and pled guilty with a hope that you and I could see why. Will you see why, or will you forever call him a criminal? Will you forever call him a coward? Will you forever call him gutless, always and forever remembering him as pleading guilty? Is there courage in pleading guilty ever? Is there ever cowardice in charging a man with a crime in spite of the spirit of the law? To both of these questions, the answer is yes. Yes, yes. I tell you right here and right now that judges who accept guilty pleas in spite of the law, denying the very essence of the law first, like witnesses, like understanding motives, like knowing corruption is being covered up, with their eye only single to the charge, are worthy of crimes against humanity in accepting guilty pleas because they heap judgments against and upon the whole society that they represent. I tell you right here, right now, that Pontius Pilate, who heard the charges of sedition levied against Jesus of Nazareth, said about Jesus after questioning him, "I find no fault in this man." He had more common sense than the military judge charged over Lieutenant Colonel Terry Lakin. Remember, Pilate's wife warned him after a dream she had that he had better remove himself from this case, or he and his family would suffer irreparable harm. You find that in Matthew 27:19. It was only after the judge was threatened by the Jews of sending a report back to the Emperor Tiberius, whose suspicious nature he was very familiar with, that he passed a death sentence, knowing it to be unjust. Pilate was removed from office a few years later in consequence of a disturbance in Samaria. It is not merciful to accept a guilty plea over a known fraud or Obama's cover-up. It's contempt of law, and at that the highest law or supreme law of the land. We understand that our military men and women are given guns and bombs and all manner of warfare and charged to protect us with them. They kill people with those weapons, but are decorated for valor. Lieutenant Colonel Terry Lakin has saved how many people with his professional skills as a doctor, and now is discharged as a criminal to prison for disobeying orders to deploy on its 6th mission? Have we excused our military and ordered them to kill people, yet we cannot understand his reasoning for wanting a qualified person as Commander-in-Chief? Lieutenant Colonel Terry Lakin's concern to help people has continued in his guilty plea, where he found himself out of his field of expertise, in a mountain, buried in a mountain of law, built so high it has forgot its base, the Constitution. I understand this because I've been through it. Often I wish I hadn't been through it. I thought about this yesterday. Why do I care? Wouldn't it be better that I didn't, like everyone else who is perfectly content with charging me as a criminal, and now charging Lieutenant Colonel Terry Lakin? My wife said to me very wisely, she's technically still married to me even though she filed divorce and we're near the final, maybe people do care, but they don't understand. I thought about that. Is it possible to care but to not understand? Again, the answer is yes. So how do we gain understanding? We gain understanding from learning, but someone has to be teaching us for us to learn. Who better understands the hell Lieutenant Colonel Terry Lakin has been through than someone who has been through what he's going through? The threats and promises made to get Obama to where he is at are far-reaching and have been very expensive. There's a lot of investment in this fraud. There's a mountain of lies built upon a single lie, which was justified by one person, Obama. The question we all must ask ourselves is, do we want what is built upon his lie? Do we want to eat that forbidden fruit? Oh. Couple more. You like that? You bet. Our nation has been built with the money that is coined and upon which is written to the last cent, in God we trust. That good has come out of our nation in support of our rights, in defense of liberty and freedom, to which the whole world has looked in amazement, and is built upon our Constitution. Shall we not want our children to be built upon this rock?